How do you hack conversation in your classroom? Be a pinball wizard. He's a pinball wizard. There has to be a trick. A pinball wizard's got such a supple wrist. Okay, welcome to Hack Learning. Sorry, I just got caught up in that pinball wizard. As soon as I hear it, takes me back to the Who and the marvelous song. Anyway, so there you go. There's a little from me. You know, if it really bothered you, hopefully you just turned it down and not off. But what if you could make your kids a pinball wizard? You could do a pretty cool trick, and you could get them conversing in your classroom in ways that maybe you've never seen before. I want to share with you Hack 4 from Hacking Questions by Connie Hamilton, and it is called Be a Pinball Wizard. Connie says the problem is teachers and students play ping pong with questions. This is what she says about that. All students must have collaboration skills in order to be competent communicators. Without a set of speaking and listening skills, the conversations feel torturous for you and the students. When the teacher is the hub of questioning and solely responsible for maintaining a discussion, we have what I refer to as conversation ping pong. If you go into a lesson without a plan for class discussion, you end up with a Q&A session that looks more like the interplay between a ball and the paddles than anything truly valuable. I have seen many stellar educators lead a class discussion that they intentionally embedded into learning, but make the mistake of allowing this ping pong game to develop. Unlike ping pong, the traditional arcade game of pinball does not follow a back and forth motion. The steel ball bounces all over, triggering flashing lights, buzzers, and bells, bumpers, ricochet, launching that sphere all over the machine. Its movement varies. All of the components of the pinball machine work together to earn points for the player. Becoming a pinball wizard means maximizing student-to-student talk in your classroom. Achieve this objective by setting up the conditions for pinball talk moves. By this, I mean listen to students bounce their thinking off one another rather than leading the conversation yourself. Observe as they accept challenges to intensify their learning through rich discussion. Their questions are relevant and provide clarity, connections, and respectful disagreement. They use multiple communication skills to accomplish a rich discourse. So how do we do it? First, let background or prior knowledge work its magic. Too many teachers and supervising administrators have a false perspective that they should avoid surface-level questions. Without general information about a topic, though, it's impossible to debate, defend, compare, contrast, or evaluate it. What drains the pinball with regard to knowledge, it's jumping in with a high-level question and expecting students to immediately wrestle with it. In the classroom, this equates to teachers posing questions way above students' heads without giving them the tools to do the questions justice. In many cases, they are not bad questions. Rather, teachers expect them to generate a rich discussion, but too soon in the learning progression. In the absence of experience or knowledge, the students lack true answers, and they quickly exhaust the conversation. Avoid this stall in your pinball talk by fueling their talk with sufficient background knowledge or common experiences. Students can work their wizardry when they have tools like academic vocabulary, relevant experiences, and sources that support their thinking and learning during the pinball talk. Next, encourage active listening. Since listening is tough to assess, we frequently overlook it. From the onset of their education, students learn that listening is about what their eyes, ears, mouths, hands, and feet are doing without a reference to what their brains are doing. In the absence of explicit guidance about what excellent listeners are thinking, students interpret it as be quiet and be still. This is a behavior expectation for being a good audience member. It does not teach students to be active listeners. Active listeners interact with the speaker to gain clarity, probe, and paraphrase. In order for a class discussion to look like a pinball in action, make sure you're keeping the emphasis on more than just talk. Ask for feedback. Check in with students and lead discussions that measure how well they're listening. If you want a discussion to be engaging, purposeful, and effective, build an atmosphere where quality listening plays a vital role. Next, emphasize the value of alternate perspectives. Argument and debate can be very productive methods of learning. Considering points of view that differ from your own not only deepens your understanding of the topic, but it also opens doors to exploring new ways of thinking. Develop a command of language to articulate thinking. Speaker and listener have to work together to create a dialogue, because dialogue and discussion require all parties to speak well. Teach students how to accomplish good speech with the following tips to encourage pinball wizardry in your classroom. Vary pitch. Avoid a monotone voice. Adjust rate of speech, speeding up or slowing down to communicate emotion or emphasize a word or phrase. Pause and intentionally place moments of silence in the dialogue to allow the listener to process a key point or bring attention to something the speaker just said. Volume. It is impossible to create a pinball structure if the speakers cannot be heard. If students are too soft-spoken, their contributions are drained. This is an excerpt from Hack 4 of Hacking Questions by Connie Hamilton, Be a Pinball Wizard. I'd like to share with you briefly some of the what you can do tomorrow strategies that Connie shares so you can make your kids pinball wizards. The Hack Learning Podcast is brought to you by Times 10 Publications, bringing vision, experience, and action to schools around the world. Please check out all of our resources at times10library.com. Now back to this episode of the Hack Learning Podcast. We want our kids to be pinball wizards, and here's what you can do tomorrow to make it happen. Delineate good listeners from good audience members. If you address listening skills in your classroom, verify that the skills you're teaching foster collaboration and productive speaking and listening. Set guidelines for being a captive audience. Students received mixed messages if we tell them good listeners are quiet. Good audience members are quiet, but active listeners offer words of encouragement, pose clarifying questions, and build on the speaker's words. When a speaker is presenting, tell the rest of the class that they're the audience members. When the speaker is taking a turn at dialogue, encourage the other students to use their active listening tools. In order to have pinball conversations, students must use active listening, not simply watch the show. Square up. This is a powerful strategy to bring attention to the speaker. Instructing students to square up means that their shoulders are squarely facing the speaker. By positioning their shoulders in the direction of the person talking, they naturally look at the speaker. Model accurate paraphrasing. Students can organically practice their abilities to deliver clear messages throughout their day. We can fall into the trap of building onto a student's thoughts by putting the words we wish they had said into our paraphrase. Instead of inserting accurate vocabulary or elaborating on a spawning idea, let the student hear what you heard by repeating only what the student actually said. Listen for clues like, what I think you meant was. If a portion of the response is unclear and needs elaboration, ask for it rather than providing it. Doing so benefits the speaker and models how to use questioning to seek understanding. These are some of the what you can do tomorrow strategies in Connie Hamilton's Hacking Questions. Hack 4, Be a Pinball Wizard. It might, in the song, say it has to be a trick, but you know what? In reality, and in your classroom, it doesn't have to be a trick at all. We can create this pinball wizardry in our class using the strategies from Hacking Questions by Connie Hamilton. And she provides 11 answers that create a culture of inquiry in your classroom. I hope you'll check it out. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and in stores. Don't forget to check out all Hack Learning books and all other books from Times 10. You can find them in our new archive at times10library.com. Thanks for listening. Go on out and be a pinball wizard. How do you think he does it? I don't know what makes him so good. You've been listening to the Hack Learning Podcast. I'm Mark Barnes. For more episodes, check out hacklearningpodcast.com.